Hi, my name is Jong, originally born and raised in the Netherlands, but already happily living in Croatia for the past 16 years. I'm an entrepreneur, a husband and a father of 4. And to me, entrepreneurship means that by building businesses that we can help improve the lives of the people around us.
Hello everybody and welcome to Uplift Talks. My guest today is Jan de Jong, the most famous Dutchman in Croatia, that's for sure. He has been an entrepreneur for a long time and he has been living in Croatia for more than a decade, so he's a perfect guest for us. He's a co-founder of Webpower Adria and Crop Hrvatska, and he has also been known to Croatian public for constantly promoting digital nomads. So now we want to hear a little bit more about your plans and your career and your future project and future in Croatia. So Jan, welcome to our little studio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So the first question that is, I think, the commonly posed question to you. What is the biggest difference in general between Netherlands and Croatia in terms of business culture, entrepreneurial culture, if you can tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, there's a huge difference in lifestyle between the Netherlands and Croatia. And the way that I think I can summarize it is that in Croatia people work to live, and in the Netherlands people live to work. And that's also something
that's
that you
interesting.
see. Yeah, we are very much focused on economic progress and to develop your country in a economic sense in the best possible way. And I think in Croatia we are more focused on enjoying life. And,
that's why you came here.
That's why I stayed here, yes.
And stayed
yes,
here, okay.
Yes.
Welcome
but,
then.
Well, the entrepreneurial climate in the Netherlands is obviously also different. I think that there's by far more competition, more entrepreneurial activities going on in the Netherlands also means more competition. It's very difficult to be innovative in the Netherlands because a lot of things have already been done over there. And here in Croatia, what I found out for myself is that many of the things that are already very well developed in the Netherlands are either not done yet at all in Croatia or could be done much better. And that at the same time creates opportunities there for entrepreneurial opportunities in Croatia.
So this is an opportunity for you just to copy some things that you have seen already in the Netherlands and just to develop it here.
Well, don't tell anybody, but that's basically what I've been doing over the past 16 years.
Okay,
yeah.
I got the point. One thing that's very interesting to us is how connected is the educational system in Netherlands to labor market? Because I think that we are a little bit, sloppy in Croatia with that. So how would you comment?
Now, I've never been to school here or to university here, but I can speak from my experience, of course, with what I've seen in the Netherlands. First of all, I think that there's a very strong collaboration between the private sector in the Netherlands and the educational system, where, for instance, there's a lot of internships being done throughout your, let's say, educational period, like 4 or 5 year period in the university. You are doing several projects with businesses in groups together. We, for example, had to write a marketing plan for Heineken, and then you go to the Heineken factory, you go in to see, to learn about how they're doing their business, and then you have to make a marketing plan about it, which is really very interesting. And then what you also see is that in your last year of university, when you're writing your diplomski raad, your final thesis, you very often do that, of course, at a company. And I would say that the majority of people, after they finish their university, they actually stay with those companies. So there's a very good transition from you're being a student, you have to do your final thesis, and then you do that with a company, and that's where you then continue your career.
Okay, so practical knowledge is really important.
Yes.
So maybe we're a little bit more concentrated on this theoretical knowledge. And
yeah. When I speak with my wife, who obviously went to university then here in Split, from what I've noticed is that here in Croatia it's very much focused on theory. Just if you can memorize a book, that means that you
pass the exam.
Then you can pass the exam. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's another good point to hear, but
I also prefer the Dutch way.
Yeah, I get it. Another thing is that how would you describe the business climate here in Croatia? Because entrepreneurs in Croatia always complain that they're not satisfied with this or that, and that there is no really this innovative climate that you're experiencing abroad. Do you agree or do you complain?
Well, I mean, I think complaining is a human thing to do. I mean, in the Netherlands, people also complain.
Really?
Mostly about the weather.
What?
About the weather, of course. We don't have such great weather as in Croatia, but...
Good point for us.
Yes.
For digital nomads.
Definitely,
we'll talk
as
about
well.
the subject.
I have to say that whenever I'm surrounded with other entrepreneurs in Croatia, there's not so much complaining. I think that we are made differently, entrepreneurs in general. We are more optimistic than the average person. I think that we are more looking at problems as opportunities. The problem is an opportunity to fix something. And the complaining part is mostly done, I would say, by the non-entrepreneurs. At the same time, even though there's a lot of things still to be done in a country like Croatia, because in a country with a lot of problems, there is a lot of opportunities at the same time. The market, of course, is relatively small. It's only 4 million of us, or even less, actually.
Even less, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think that the companies that are becoming bigger or more successful in Croatia, if they really want to reach their full potential, then they pretty much have no other way than to also go outside of Croatia. They need to tap into larger markets. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another weak point, I don't know if you experienced this with...
Well, we are known for our bureaucracy here, obviously.
That's what I wanted to ask.
You know, whenever somebody tells me that the bureaucracy for them is a reason not to start a business, then I don't think that they are true entrepreneurs. Because for me, actually, even though it is something that you have to go through that public notary and sign all those papers and whatnot. But for me, I just hire good lawyers and good accounting officers for that. They prepare everything for me. I just have to show up at the public notary office and sign all of that. Mm-hmm. And that's actually, for me, the easiest part of entrepreneurship. What is really difficult is to come up with a good product, define your pricing strategy correctly, hire right employees, finding customers, doing your marketing correct. That is the most difficult part of entrepreneurship. And in my opinion, going to a public notary office to put a few signatures on paper is not the most difficult part of entrepreneurship. That's
an opportunity and challenge, not the problem.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Thank you for these very practical advices that we got from you. But have you seen maybe some changes? You're here for like 16 years. Mm. Have you seen some changes in this entrepreneurial climate and, I don't know, the approach that people have? And bureaucracy, is it easier maybe now?
First of all, I think that over the past 16 years we can say that entrepreneurs in general have gotten a better reputation and our image has improved. Before, 15, 16 years ago, if we would talk about entrepreneurs, we would very often talk about, let's say, the old guys that benefited from Croatia's independence and then owning large companies and actually not really taking good care of those companies, but mostly enriching themselves. That was the successful Croatian entrepreneur. There were always people saying like, okay, in Croatia, you should never ask an entrepreneur, how did they make their first million? You know, you can always ask them about the other millions, but don't ask them about the first million. And that's something, there was always a lot of negativity around the word entrepreneurship, because people were thinking that entrepreneurs are people that either mistreat their employees or they steal somewhere or somehow. And now actually, because of a new generation of amazing entrepreneurs that Croatia has, that image has completely changed. And I'm talking about the Infobits, the Rimats, the Nanobits, the Infinums. These are amazing companies, all founded by men and women my age, like mid-30s and towards the 40s. And they're employing hundreds of people, doing millions and millions in revenue. Some of them are even turned into unicorns. And they've actually shown that you can build a company like that from scratch and be very successful in a matter of 10, 15, 20 years by keep on building your business. And that, I think, is a very positive development in Croatia, to see the change of how we are looking at entrepreneurship in Croatia.
So the image of entrepreneurs has changed.
Definitely, for the better.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, for the better.
Another very interesting thing, you introduced something new, 4-day week for your employees in your company. Yeah. So how does that go and what are the reactions?
Fantastic. I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever made as an entrepreneur to let people work a 4-day work week. It's not something that I invented myself, obviously. I was very much inspired by an experiment that they did on Iceland. And in Iceland, they did the experiment in the public sector, which is not something I would necessarily recommend in Croatia to be done. But they introduced a 4-day work week, and they actually found out that people are less stressed, more rested, that they are more productive and at the end happier.
Happier.
Yes, and another test was done, a pilot was done in the United Kingdom among, I think, close to 100 companies with about 5,000 employees altogether. And out of all those companies, I think there were only 5% of companies that have seen a decline in productivity by introducing a 4-day work week. So the other 95%, either their productivity stayed at the same level or it even improved. And you know, one of the things that I like to do with my businesses in Croatia is I like to be innovative. And not just by bringing new products or new services, but also by perhaps introducing new ways of how a company is being managed. And you know, there's a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of benefits for us to introduce a 4-day work week. First of all, of course, the happiness of our employees, them being more rested, them having more time for self-development and self-care. And then during the days that they do work for Webpower, they're actually being super productive and they excel at their work. But what it has also done, for me at least, is that in the past, very often my best employees, they would be headhunted by very financially strong companies like Pliva or Infobip or Foreo. And,
but after this?
Now, well, the thing is that I wanted to offer to my team something from which I hoped and believed that my competitors, not necessarily competitors because they are in the same line of business, but they are aiming for the same talent. So they're aiming for the same employees. I wanted to offer them something that I hoped that my competitors would not be prepared to offer. And that is not more money, but more time. And if you look at our company, we are a company with a lot of women. It's 10 of us altogether, but it's 8 women. Some of them are also mothers. And I can just so imagine that, first of all, we are 100% remote company. We don't have an office anymore. So going from 4 days a week working from home for a full-time salary, or maybe if you're being headhunted for a slightly higher salary, having to work 5 days a week from the office, that's a complete lifestyle change. And I hope that, 4-day work week and working from home, it's not meant for everybody. It's not something that everybody would choose. But I just hope to attract the people that value those values which we offer then in our company, which is to be a company working 4 days a week from home. If that is your thing, then I think we have something great to offer, and
I'll apply immediately.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Well, that's another interesting thing. You told me that it's your comparative advantage in comparison to other companies that they don't offer the 4 days working week.
For every open position that we have, when I make one LinkedIn post about it, I have 100 applications.
Congratulations.
And we can just choose who we want to employ.
In Croatia?
In Croatia, yeah.
Croats.
And people are always saying that, there's not enough good skilled employees. I would even perhaps say, there are not enough good employers and not enough good companies to work for. And if you create an environment where people are really first, your employees are really first, where you take good care of them, I think that there's no shortage of talent in Croatia.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying this. That's a nice thing to hear. But one thing comes to my mind. When you tell it's your comparative advantage that you provide this 4 days working week, how come that the other companies that are your competitors, like Infobip or Infinum, don't do the same thing? Why don't they do the same thing with the working week?
Well, I don't know.
Shorten it to 4 days a week.
I think that it's obviously easier for me to do it because my company is much smaller. If you employ 10 people or if you employ 300 people or 5,000 people, it's a big difference. And then companies like Infobip, for instance, they have offices all over the world. So
it's not so easy,
what are perhaps even legal implications on introducing something like that? Here in Croatia, what we, for example, did is we didn't want this to affect the stage of people. So on paper, they're still working 40 hours, but we give them one holiday day, paid holiday day, every single week. And that's how we kind of like solved it legally here in Croatia. But I can imagine that perhaps other countries, that there's no legal possibility for doing something like that. But I definitely think it is the future. A long time ago, about 100 years ago, it was actually Henry Ford that introduced the 5-day work week. Before that, everybody was working 6 days. And when he went from 6 to 5 days, everybody in the industry, also in the automotive industry, they were all calling him crazy, thinking by themselves, how can you do the job that needs to be done in 6 days? How can you do it in 5 days? But as a matter of fact, after he did that, he was able to attract the very best people in the industry to work for him.
So he's your inspiration.
Well, I mean, not so much an inspiration, but it's just, you know, it's great to see that something so long ago, 100 years ago nearly, has had such a positive impact on people's lives. But at the end, it also resulted in him actually accelerating the growth of his business much faster than his direct competition. And yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to be among the first companies in the country to try this 4-day work week. And for us, I don't think we will ever go back. I don't think that our employees would be happy going back to 5 days.
Now it's done.
Now it's done.
Decided.
We have no other way to go now. Yeah.
About other companies, anybody following your example that you know?
Our accounting office, they also introduced it.
Really?
Yeah, they were also inspired by it. And our accounting office now also works 4 days a week. Manpower in Croatia, they're also introduced a 4-day work week. So
after your example,
yeah, I think slightly. I'm not saying that I was inspiration to them, but they did introduce it after we also introduced it. So yeah, I think that over time more and more companies will follow.
Yeah. A good way to go. Okay, I have to ask you something a little bit about your private life, since you have 4 children, and it's normally one thing that I'm posing this question to mothers, but now I'm posing to you. How do you balance your private life and your business life? You work from home, obviously, so it makes it easier or not to be with four kids?
I think it makes it, it's definitely the way that we make it work. So, you know, my wife, she's also working full-time. She has her own business as a content creator on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And honestly, I can say that I think that today she works more hours in a week than I do. So at the end, it really is a team play where we are both working from home and where we both take, let's say, equal responsibility on raising our family. I'm not as good of a chef in the kitchen as my wife is. On the other hand, I'm pretty good at cleaning up things. So, you know, and that's where we are complementing each other. Of course, you know, for the business, there's still a need to travel once in a while. But I think that for us, what we have seen after COVID, being able to work from home and actually most of my meetings turning into video calls nowadays, it has definitely made my life a lot easier. I'm driving significantly less kilometers a year than I used to. You know, in the past, there were years where I would be in Zagreb 3, 4, sometimes even 5 days a week, and then I would be home for the weekend. And now I can say that I'm going to Zagreb because we live in Split. I'm going to Zagreb maybe every second week for 2 days, and that's a huge difference.
But it's a loss for Zagreb.
Yeah, well, or a win for Split.
Definitely.
Definitely a win for my family.
Definitely a win for a family. It is great to hear this father perspective because we are usually neglecting this, and this is a nice thing to see how things go smoothly in that direction.
Yeah, we're doing it together.
Yeah, it's a teamwork.
Definitely.
And now we would like to hear something more about DNA, Digital Nomad Association.
Yeah.
You launched this project, this organization. So how does it work and what does it mean for Croatia and for digital nomads?
Yeah, so also as a result actually of this global pandemic where all of a sudden we all learned that we don't have to be in the office to work and that office is not a place, but actually work is not a place, but work is something that we do. You know, I just came to realize that this was probably one of the biggest opportunities for Croatia. Because in the past, what you would always see, you would see people leave Croatia to find opportunities abroad. But what you see now after COVID is that a lot of people are leaving countries like the United States or Ireland or the Netherlands. They're leaving those countries in order to find lifestyle again. And Croatia being among the best countries in Europe, if you ask me, when it comes to lifestyle, is therefore a very attractive place for
What are the benefits?
remote workers.
Yeah, we would like to hear something nice about us.
Well,
Finally.
I mean, aside from the beauty of this country with the 1,000 islands, but also the mountains and the very, actually, even though it's a very small country, it offers a very diverse nature and things to do. A lot of authentic experiences, internet connection is great, connectivity to the rest of Europe is great, people's English here is great. You know, there's there's perhaps not many industries that are as developed in Croatia as the tourism industry. So I can say that we do understand hospitality. We are very warm and welcoming people here in Croatia. So I think that that's also something that attracts digital nomads. And
you now, said of course, we. That means that we are all together here, like.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always speak in the we form because I really consider Croatia to be my home.
Yeah.
And I've been here for such a long time that my kids are half Croatian, half Dutch. So yeah, I think that I always speak in the we form when I speak about Croatia. And yeah, I hope to see that more and more digital nomads, that they will find their temporary home in Croatia, because I think it's a great additional income stream for Croatia. It generates new revenues that we would usually not have had. But perhaps even more important is that this could possibly help contribute to reverse the brain drain. Because what we have seen, as you know, 16 years ago when I moved to Croatia, the population here was about 4.5 million people. And now we are at 3.88. Yeah. So we have lost almost as many people as an entire city of Zagreb. And they all went to mostly very rainy countries. And these are not old and retired people that have left. These are young and smart people that have left. And now by welcoming digital nomads or the remote work professionals to come to Croatia, for a change, we are welcoming young and smart people to come here. And they're coming here. And we have a phenomenal reputation as a country that we are among the top destinations for digital nomads to come here. Now you can imagine that when I originally launched the initiative of introducing a digital nomad visa or a permit.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah, so when that happened, my inbox obviously flooded with questions from people from all around the world who wanted to know more, who wanted to apply, who wanted to come here. And while in the beginning I was almost serving as a customer support department for all those digital nomads that wanted to come here, I realized that this is something that is, first of all, far bigger than just me. And I needed to organize myself with other people as part of, in this case then, an Udrugu, a digital nomad association, who can help me to unite and to serve digital nomads who are planning to come to Croatia or who are already in Croatia. And that's why we founded this association, and that's how we are responsible for making sure that digital nomads feel welcome here, but also that we internationally promote Croatia as a place to be for digital nomads. Yeah.
So Jan, you live in Split, in Dalmatia, yes. For a long time now, for many years. Have you noticed this difference in the mentality between northern part of Croatia and southern part that we always talk about and amplifying maybe too much? What do you think, what is the difference?
Well, I mean, obviously people, I would say, in the south have more temperament than the ones living in the north. We're more passionate when we speak and when we act. Definitely in traffic, we're more passionate.
So shouting.
Yeah, honking.
Okay.
And even though I have to say also that over the past 16 years, I've seen that improve as well. Before it was really crazy in traffic. People parking their cars everywhere. The right lane, pretty much don't drive there because that's where you also park your car. And then if you try to get back on the left lane, then people would be honking at you. And that was, I would say, like almost like the Italian way of using the car.
Mediterranean culture.
Yeah, definitely.
But nowadays it's European Union.
Well, yeah, obviously we are. But when I would speak with people, for example, from Zagreb, they would, when I would tell them that I lived in Split, they would very often respond to me like, Polako, like you're taking it easy. For myself, that was obviously never the case. I mean, I was an entrepreneur from day one, and I've been working 80-hour weeks when I started my first business. And then I also have to say that, of course, when you work in tourism, which is obviously very seasonal, then during the summer months, you're working extremely hard. And then during the off season, then there's no need to do anything pretty much. And you can earn your money for the whole year in a matter of 4 or 5 months during the summer. So I can imagine that people that are from Zagreb, that are looking at that, who have to work 12 months a year, that they perhaps consider people from Dalmatia to be lazy, but I know plenty of people. I know plenty of people that are working extremely hard during the summer, and honestly, I wouldn't want to work that kind of job that hard during those summer months.
Yeah. But there's no reason to be nervous. Come on, people! It's wonderful weather. It's the best. It's the most beautiful city in the world, really.
Yeah, so. That's also the difference in living to work or working to live. You know, and I think that people in Croatia have found a pretty good balance for themselves there. Yeah.
I've heard something about your new project, something completely different, Crop Croatia, Crop Hrvatska.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something more about this project?
Yeah, definitely. It also started with being inspired actually by some frustration from my end. If you know that in the past, before I moved to Croatia, this country used to be able to produce enough food for an entire region, and that today we are an importing nation. We are importing more food than that we export. To me, that was very sad. You know, whenever you talk with people in Croatia, they always speak very passionately about food. But then at the same time, they say, you know what, we should be feeding Europe, but it's not happening, you know, it's not the case. And then I happened to grow up in a country where the agriculture sector is about 10 times the size of Croatia's tourism sector, where we export about 100 billion euros in agriculture in the Netherlands per year. And they're doing that, and they're so successful with that in the Netherlands because of the technology that is being used. And that is a technology that is here in Croatia, but by far not enough. In the Netherlands, they have the so-called stakleniek, the greenhouse, and they have nearly 10,000 hectares of that. And in Croatia, I believe we don't even reach 100 hectares.
Really?
Yeah. It's you have Osatina is a big player in Croatia, but then, while that is the biggest player in Croatia, which is a huge company, in the Netherlands there are family farms that are much larger than that. And that's when I started thinking about it long enough, I wanted to change that. I wanted to do something with that, and I thought and I think that I could perhaps be that bridge between the Netherlands and Croatia, where I can help to further develop the agriculture sector by bringing more of that technology to Croatia. So where we are currently with the project is that we are currently raising the funding for it with a very large Dutch agriculture fund. But besides doing the funding of it, they would also be, with sister companies, build the greenhouse, and they would be operationally responsible for running the greenhouse. And yeah, I hope that we can develop a blueprint on how to do this. We found a beautiful piece of land in Virovitica. And the first project, we plan on building an 8-hectare greenhouse, which is an investment of about 30 million euros. And we hope that we can, in the upcoming years, start producing delicious cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Everything sounds perfect.
Yeah.
And good luck to the project.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And final question, do you have any concrete advice for young entrepreneurs in Croatia? What would you say with your experience, like 16 years of experience working here? What would you say?
Yeah. I would say that, first of all, surround yourself with like-minded people, positive people, people that can perhaps even be a mentor to you, so other entrepreneurs very often. Don't let yourself get distracted by naysayers and people that are by default having a negative attitude towards life in general. And whenever you want to get inspired to start a certain business, just listen to what people are complaining about. Because at the end, whatever people are complaining about needs fixing. And if you can come up with a solution to those problems, then you have a business model for yourself.
Great.
So that would be my advice to young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, great. So finding the solution is the key.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jan, for your time, and good luck with all of your projects, and hope to hear from you more in some other Uplift talks.
No, thank you for having me.
Dragi gledatelji, hvala vam što ste pratili Uplift razgovore. Nadam se da ste uživali, da ste čuli nešto korisno za sebe i vidimo se u nekoj sljedećoj epizodi.